Welcome to Busted Speakers. Today we're going to be talking about the future of music. The future of music is an interesting topic. So for sure, in the last, I'd say, 7, 8, 9 years, rap and EDM music has become very prevalent. Like trap influenced rap music. Anything danceable is prevalent. So even though I'm not the biggest fan of trap music or EDM music, I think that's going to be the next big thing, as well as I've been seeing a lot of exposure to like indie rock, indie pop, which is pretty. I mean, like I like it. It's just that it can get pretty boring and generic at times, and I kind of wish that there were more variety that was getting more popular. But the variety of music is not that popular nowadays.
Yeah, I can definitely see trap becoming more popular in the next 3, 4 years, but I don't see it actually maintaining that as the prevalent genre for 15, 20 years. I think it'll be a trend and it'll die out.
Yeah, for sure. I think trap is gonna it's just gonna be uh maybe like a couple more years in the future, because then there's gonna be something new that comes up, and I think that's probably gonna be some sort of EDM influenced rap music, which there are a little bit now. Like Tech Nine does it pretty often, but it's not as prevalent, and I think that it'll gain prevalence as time goes on. I think that's what it's gonna be.
That's interesting that you talk about electronic rap becoming the main thing because that's actually where some of the roots of rap actually was based in to begin with. Like Dr. Dre's first group before NWA, can't remember the name of it right now because I've not really listened to them. I just know of them. Was I think the genre for that is electro or disco rap. It's not specifically. I don't know what had it. Yeah, it's really well. That's where that all the original rap songs originate from disco. So we'll see where the future holds us definitely. But I think to understand where the future of music is going to be, we have to look towards the history of music a bit, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
yeah, if you anything to input, Cam.
Um, Not really because I don't make a point of listening to a lot of modern music, and obviously I'm doing a lot more of that this year just because of the show. But I also just look back on what was popular in previous decades, and not even just that, but like what has remained iconic, and there actually isn't necessarily a lot of overlap, if that makes sense, because I'm a rock guy, so that's where most of my knowledge and opinions comes from. And people are saying like these days rock is dead and all kinds of
Yeah.
things like that.
It's just
And
hard
they're
to
saying it
find.
proudly in a way. Yeah, and when you look back, really, rock has almost never been a dominant genre on the pop charts.
That's actually true. It's only revisionist people thinking that Led Zeppelin, I don't know, Leonard Skinner were having number one singles all the time in the 70s, and they weren't really maybe. They had big hits, but they weren't like the dominant factor. It was more like Carpenters, uh, stuff like that was actually getting hit after hit.
Well,
So yeah,
I
I
beg
agree
to
there.
differ. I'm just gonna I beg to differ on that, because although rock is not as prevalent, I think since rock is such a wide genre that includes like heavy metal to indie rock to screamo to emo, whatever, like all those genres fit under the rock subgenre. I think there's always been a prevalence, maybe just not as popular, because like at least for metal, it's an acquired taste more or less. Like you can't just like listen to it on the first try and then. I mean, some people. But I remember when I first heard it, I was like, what the hell is this shit? And then it grew on me, and I think like this. Yes, obviously some parts of rock are not going to be prevalent at all. But I think like if you're gonna talk about like the Doors and the Who, the just classic rock bands, I think those were Pink Floyd as well. Were all pretty high on the charts despite being rock groups.
I suppose so. Their albums were big hits.
Yeah, the
I
album.
think
Sorry.
I think we were talking more about hit singles here, kind of, as
Oh yeah,
the
yeah.
future of music,
And
which is not actually completely what we should look at, because we're saying future of music as if it's like pop music, but we should actually look at future of like really good genres at the moment, like you say, hardcore hip hop, you know, good stuff, or cloud rap and abstract hip hop.
and
Um,
that sort of thing is where I get lost because I just have so little experience with them overall, and I just feel extra lost looking back, like I was saying about at everything that used to be popular and how we got to where we are now, and I just have no idea how it happened. I'm not saying that anything of it is necessarily good or bad by default. It's just surprising to think of what 80s pop music sounds like and what modern pop sounds like.
that's what I was thinking, because if you actually listen to 90s pop, a lot of it, I think, sounds more like 60s pop than it does the pop of today, somehow. I don't get how, but today's pop has a lot of extended beat drops after each chorus. There's the real catchy moment of the song in a lot of pop songs. Like in the Chainsmokers, after the chorus, they'll have a extended 20-second catchy section, or maybe not 20, 10 second. That's the real hook of the song. A lot of 90s songs don't have that, and they sound very, very different because of that.
Yeah, I think more in the last 5 or 6 years, the EDM influence in pop music has become like substantial to the point where everyone is doing it, and almost every pop
Yeah,
song has some sort of EDM influence now, which is okay, but like but then it becomes kind of formulaic where you have the verse and the chorus, then the obviously the EDM right after the chorus, the EDM
yeah, that's the bit I
instrumentation part,
mean.
and I feel like it gets boring because I mean, like, you can't vary that up a lot. But before then, I remember like people like before then, it was a lot of R&B music was popular, like what's his name, Ray J and Neo and Chris Brown, and
Yeah, all that was big. Yeah,
that died very very quickly. Like, I would say like maybe 2 or 3 years, and then it was all gone. I would say.
the only artists from that survived were the ones who adapted to more EDM styles, or were too big to die, like Bruno Mars, I guess.
Well, I mean, I think Bruno Mars just really found his own sound in his album that came out last year, like 24 Karat Magic. He's bringing back like the old school funk and I guess disco era music, and I think that really fits his sound. I think he's doing that, which is not. There are no other artists really doing what he's doing. They bring back that funk sound, and I think it's kind of interesting just to hear it come back and actually have great commercial success.
That might actually be a good, because you can always use the term nostalgia for a good placeholder for how the direction music's going to go, because everyone's nostalgic for some sound. People are saying we're going to have a 90s revival for the rest of this decade in some regard or some way, because a lot
I
of
hope
late
not.
a lot of late 2000s and early 2010s, some of it was like 80s revival in some way. So that could be where it's going to go. A lot of pop hits, because they'll get sick of the EDM that's overwhelmingly dominating the chart right now.
Maybe this is just my ignorance talking, but did the 90s really have a signature sound like the way the 70s kind of had a lot of soul and funk influence to a lot of the pop that
Well,
sticks around, and then the 80s, just the 80s sound, I don't even need to describe it. You just know what an 80s song sounds like, whether
yeah,
it's somebody like Tears for Fears, or um just a solo pop singer from that era. You can tell what those are, and you can hear that in modern times. But I mean, aside from maybe Eurodance and that sort of thing, I can't really think of a distinct pop sound for the 90s. I mean, there's also like, that was the decade when adult alternative became like a mainstream thing. But these are the kind of things that you can't really build an empire of nostalgia on, because they're drawing so much on what came before. So if you try to draw on what's derivative, and I'm not saying derivative in a necessarily bad sense, but what's derivative of the music of the 60s, 70s, and the 80s, then all you're going to do is keep being more derivative without offering anything new.
That is true, yeah. The 90s doesn't have a distinct like overlap of sound that most artists chose to do. Grunge died and evolved into something much worse, post-grunge. You're right with Eurodance that it was pretty big, but it wasn't for everyone. You know, there was a lot of boy band, girl band
Okay, yeah, there's
stuff,
that
and
sound.
more
Yeah.
towards the end of the decade.
Like the
that
Backstreet
wasn't
Boys
as-
and NSYNC and those kind of guys. Oh, I
Yeah,
forgot about
so-
those.
So if that's the 90s revival we're gonna see, I'd rather not.
I mean, boy bands are making a bit. I mean, they were maybe a couple of years back with like One Direction and Jonas Brothers and those kind of like Disney Channel bands. But yeah, there's not many boy bands left anymore. At least in the mainstream music.
That's true.
And now let's talk about this. Now we're going to talk about this in a little bit. We're all getting pop singers who got popular on websites and apps.
Oh,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah. Well,
Well, let's
that's
save
probably
that. Let's save that for the other review.
But it's just the thing that's happening. You know, record producers or other people in charge of this, that, or whatever see a kid who's cute enough, gets popular on, whatever app, whether it was like Vine for Shawn Mendes or Musical.ly or whatever you want to call it for He Who Shall Not Be Named until we actually get that review up.
it'll be up before this one's up.
Yeah, so yeah,
So
I guess so.
Jacob Sartorius. Now that we've already broken that ice, I just feel like that there's going to be more and more apps like that just kind of prey on the shallowness and the starry-eyed dreams of kids with smartphones, and there's always going to be impressionable young girls who fall for some record producer who's going to think I can exploit this and give the kid a career for absolutely no reason.
Yeah, I mean, there was that other one, Juju on the Beat. That's not a good song, and I don't know how it only got known because of its internet meme status or whatever. That's the only reason it became a hit.
The
And
Juju
it
on
really
the Beat was that the You Ugly You Yo Daddy's Son thing?
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh goody.
What a
Yeah, so
I think the internet really just grabs onto these like dumb songs that really like obviously the song had no intention of being good. It was just a song that was catchy and easy to dance to, which is most music nowadays. Like just that is catchy and easy to dance. Like there's not much complexity in music, and the moment a dance craze goes around, it gets viral because of the internet. And instead of having like 10,000 views, it has 10 million views, and that's absurd.
it is absurd. But this has been a thing for a while with Gangnam Style, Chocolate Rain. It's technically nothing new, but I think it's becoming more prevalent on actually the chart now, because those things were... I mean, I know Gangnam Style charted, but it was like a viral like oddity that could... I don't think Chocolate Rain had any impact on the chart, and I don't think any other early internet big songs had. So I think now we're come to the point, maybe 5 to 10 years after these songs came out, or Chocolate Rain, I guess, is the earliest I can think of. There's probably more. That they're now, having big effect on the chart, because now we're in the age where these kids grew up on the internet.
Yeah. I feel like what would help is if, YouTube could bother to differentiate between something that, people actually are listening to because they like the song and they want to hear it, and something that's just, a viral hit. Something that people are listening to for novelty, like, The Fox. I don't know of anybody who actually listened to that because they thought it was a great song. It's just because, it's so stupid. You got the stupid sounds and the weird costumes and everything. Like, has Ylvis done anything since that song?
Well, actually, Ylvis is I think was Swedish or some sort of North European. They were actually a comedy sketch group and they made these
Okay.
songs for their shows. So they had no intention of being a good song. It was just supposed to be a funny comedic song.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that sort of thing, like, I mean, I feel like we're kind of getting into almost like a eugenics of pop music, but that sort of thing just should not count for chart success.
It's completely baffling that this is the case nowadays. I just can't believe it.
So just going back to Gangnam Style, I thought it had died out like maybe 2 years back, because I haven't listened to the song in however long. So my grandparents, they go on a cruise about 2 months ago. They come back and they have this camera full of videos and photos for me to look at, and they're like, "Oh, here, I want you to take these and put it all on the computer so we can have them." And I'm like, "Fine, sure." And there's maybe a 10 minutes video of all these old senior citizens dancing to Gangnam Style and other Psy songs, and I don't think they know what's going on, but it was a fantastic video of just violent dancing by old people to Gangnam Style.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I think a lot of this what's going on now is the success of Justin Bieber. I would say I think he's the one who started this whole getting popular on the internet and then getting noticed, and actually utilizing the internet for what it can be. But yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, he's the only because originally this topic was gonna be what's the future music we can see in 2030, and he's the oldest and only person I can think of now that I can still see being commercially viable then, because Justin Timberlake's had a good run, obviously, and so has people like Pink and that, but they'll be mid-40s, getting to 50 by 2030. And I don't know why, I just can't picture many other people lasting that long, but I could see him having a sort of Justin Timberlake type career till then. Just for any specific people I could still see having hits then.
I mean,
I don't know. I still,
go ahead.
sorry. I still don't think Bieber has a good enough voice to have any kind of staying power. Like, he's gotten better with the songs that he both writes, chooses, and produces, and the people that he works with.
Yeah.
But he's just not a good singer. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Justin Timberlake, but he's a good singer and a great performer. He's a great dancer and everything. He's, the complete package of a pop superstar. And I just can't see Bieber lasting that much longer, as his fans, like the girls who gave him the push to stardom to begin with, are growing up with him. And I hate it when people use terms like growing out of music, but I feel like that they're growing out of him, and there aren't enough teen girls who like have the idea of him as the 12-year-old heartthrob, or however old he was, that he can sustain a career on nostalgia. And I just don't think he's good enough to have a career after he fizzles out, whenever that's going to be in the next couple of years or so.
Well, Cam,
And
about that, I think good to him. I think his newest album has really picked up what's popular now and embraced that, like the EDM influence and acoustic influences. And I think he's learned how to, I guess, adapt to what is current music, and I think that's gonna help him in the long term. So I think if he knows how to adapt the music, then he's gonna be fine in terms of just getting out there and getting the recognition. Even though his fans are growing up, there's always people who are gonna like the modern music, and if he keeps adapting to it, he'll get new fans.
Okay, that's fair.
And there's also the case that, if you remember when he came out, everyone was saying, "Oh, this kid won't last long now, I hate this baby song, oh god." And that was in 2010. We're now in 2017 and he's still around, so he's definitely defied expectations in these last... I really don't know. I mean, I don't know why he was the only one I thought of that would be able to live on till 2 decades hence, but yeah, there's also that to take into account.
Yeah, okay, that's all fair. But
It was mainly... I think it was mainly old rock fans who were getting annoyed at his Facebook page, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily saying it's all, crusty old rockists, and I want to kill myself for saying that, but yeah, I mean, I don't know why he was able to. I mean, like, yeah, being adaptable like that. I guess it makes sense, but I still don't think that. I think that being able to pick up on modern trends can only carry you so far. Because like, you could say the same thing about Taylor Swift, who has been able to sustain a career um, longer and more widespread than I think a lot of people counted on in the very early days. And she adapted to a lot of modern sounds, and of course tapping into the 80s nostalgia with 1989. And I think that she could probably sustain a career if just as maybe she goes back into acoustic singer songwriter mode, um, or I don't know, even just like continually keeping on top of the trends or mining more nostalgia. And I don't know, part of me wants to hope that Carly Rae Jepsen will get more popular as the years go on, but I don't know. I feel like if nothing from Emotion could give her the push that she needed, then she's probably going to be happy being a niche pop star for the rest of her career.
Yeah, I think the things she's released so far have been pretty good. I've enjoyed it, except that one song that got her popular. I forgot the song. What was it?
Call Me Maybe?
Yeah, I hated that song.
Me too, brother.
I think less because the song is bad, but because everyone was singing it, it was overplayed, and I just heard it everywhere, and that really does diminish the value of an actual song.
I just hated it because I thought it was boring.
That too.
For exposure, nothing. It's just not. I just don't think it's a good song.
I mean, her B-sides are pretty good as well, so. But yeah, if that's it, then thanks for tuning in to Busted Speakers. Make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Let us know what you think the future of music will be in the comments below, and check us out on social media. Thanks.